Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Ed Welch is our guest and wears many hats in the community. Let me see if I can get the top four. He is general manager, regional manager for AAA Northeast. He is host of Auto Talk every Saturday on WIBX 9 to 10. He is still president of the board at CABVI. Chairman of the board at CABVI and an Oneida County legislator. And we'll talk about all those things, but first let me welcome you. Good to see you again.
It's always an honor and pleasure to be with you, Joe.
Thank you. Let's start with the Oneida County legislator part. We seldom talk about that when you're a guest, but I'd like to talk about it now because you just announced that you're not going to be seeking re-election. After how many, 18?
This is my 9th term, so 18 years.
Yeah.
When I finish up this year, it'll be 18 years on the board of legislators.
What led, you're still a young man, what led to your decision to
Joe, I have never visioned myself even being there this long. As you mentioned, I do a lot of different things. I really enjoy my community work, and I really only viewed the legislative job, so to speak, as part of my community outreach. I just thought of it as community work. You know, in politics, there's, keeping it simple as I can, you know, there's show horses and work horses. I always try to view myself as a workhorse, try and help the community move forward. And I've had the privilege of working with a lot of great people over these years. And we have done a lot of great things in Oneida County with a lot of good people that are still there and people who are no longer there. And I'd like to think that the county is in a better place than it was when I started there 18 years ago.
the seat? Well, is that the 19th district?
Yeah, it's the 19th district encompassing almost all of South Utica and a little part of the central part of Utica.
So people are going to start stepping forward on both sides of the aisle for that seat coming when?
Well, this year, and I think it could be soon. Well, it could be soon. The New York State Legislature, I think, just changed the primary dates to coincide with the federal one. So I don't know what the political calendar is going to look like. But I did this early because I wanted to give people enough time to think about what they might want to do and give the interested parties enough time to find qualified people to run. It's a responsibility, it's a job, and people should not take it lightly.
Yeah. The terms on the Oneida County Board are 2 years.
Correct.
Is that a good length of time, do you think? It seems, in one way, it's good because you're held accountable by people, but in another way, it seems like you're always running for election.
Well, and it was set up that way, and there are a few counties that have different terms than Oneida County. But of the 57 upstate counties, the vast majority of them all have 2-year terms. I think in a perfect world, I would, I think you always want the Goldilocks setup, right? You want it just right. Serving 1 or 2, 3 terms is probably too short, and being there for life is certainly too long of a term. So if I was to say, Ed, you're in charge, and what would you do? I'd put the terms at 4 years, and I'd put about a 12-year max on it. And I think that gives you enough time to do some good. And as our founding fathers wanted, no one expects to be there for life. And it's a part-time job, and it is a lot of responsibility and a lot of work. And I think having a certain amount of turnover is good, but you don't want continuous turnover. And I think that leads me to what happened all those years with the county executive's office. I think one of the reasons this county's moved forward in the last 10 years is because we've had stability in that job. When Tony Pacenti wanted to become county executive, one of the things that I looked at was the turnover in that position. And we had a lot of great people in that position, but you realize when you bring an administration in, you're the new person. You have the right to hire new department heads. You kind of turn the apple cart over and you kind of build your team and you build your office and you build your government. And if you're there a few years and you leave, the next person comes and does the same thing. And I've always felt that lack of continuity from when the county executive's position was invented was a detriment to the county. How many Fortune 500 companies could have a new CEO every couple of years and have it do well? So when Tony wanted to become county executive, one of the things that I stressed and many others said, hey, we need you to be there a while. And he said, you know what, I'll be there at least 10 years. And we thought, you know what, that's a good thing. We've never had that before in this county. And Tony is a very talented administrator. So he, of course, asked us the same thing. He said, hey, if I'm going to stick around, will you guys stick around with me? And of course, it's always up to the voters. But I said, if you're going to do that, I'll do that.
I remember, showing my age now, I remember when we didn't have a county executive form of government here. And the chairman of the board of the legislature ran the county.
Yeah, and we changed that form of government. I think when you have a lot of, I'd say, rural area, without a lot of dense population, I think that going to a, we'll say, county or supervisor type form of government probably works pretty good for a lot of rural counties. I think when you have a situation where you've got 3 cities in this county, which is Sherrill, Utica, and Rome, and all the towns and villages, 26 of them, cities, towns, and villages, I think it's a little difficult to run things that way. Because you take the city, for example, if I'm just a legislator there, and it's run, the whole county's run that way, I am not in a position to administer the whole county as a board member, because these are part-time positions. So I think as moving to a county executive form of government, which by the way most counties have done, I think has done it a lot better. Of course, Herkimer County has a manager that runs the county, which is something you can do as well. But I think it's worked pretty well for us.
You see consolidation. I know that County Executive Pacente has spoken at length about consolidating these towns and villages with the county. Do you see that coming? It's tough.
I don't see it coming. Going back to when I first started, Ralph Ennis was the county exec, and he was a big proponent, as all the county executives had, to have some sort of consolidation. And it's a very, very difficult thing to do. And if I think of the one thing that's been a great success has been the 911. We tried for 6 years to do that with all of us, and it really was just an unfathomable task. Then finally Rome said, you know what, they would try it. And that left basically the whole county except for Utica and New Hartford. Budgetary pressures came along, very harsh ones, that basically forced them to say, okay, do we want to keep that independent, or do we want to really raise our taxes high? And once given that choice, they were very quick to go to 911 consolidated. And as a matter of fact, it took about 3 months once they made a decision. So here we are some years later. Each of these municipalities are saving $700,000 to $800,000 a year on these operations. And it's worked very, very well. And I'm really proud of Kevin Revere and the crew at 911. They do a great job for us. And we've got a fine organization there. And guess what? It serves the entire county.
When we come back, let's get the Oneida County Legislator hat off, and we'll put on your AAA hat. Winter driving tips. We'll talk about winter in central New York. Ed Welch is our guest. Short break, right back.